Good evening, everyone. We don't have as joyful as an introduction as we did on Saturday when we got the draw against Orlando in a MLS League match. This, however, was an Open Cup match, a knockout game. A game against a rival in their stadium in a knockout situation that you'd think perhaps your team would be up for it. That they would say, I recognize the moment. I see this as perhaps something that I can kind of etch myself into the history books of Atlanta United. To be the hero, to be a lion tamer even, someone to take that mantle. The absolute opposite happened. The narrative was there for these players and this team and Tata Martino to continue to reverse the bad trajectory we had been on in the beginning of the season, continue the cohesiveness that we started to see come together, some chemistry, dare I even say quality play in some regards and sometimes. But no, we had a pretty drastic backstep this game. I'm not quite sure. From top to bottom, it seemed like a horror show to me. The only thing I could possibly say that was really that good, outside of Saba's assist and ELL's goal, which I'm even a little reticent to give ELL that much praise for something like that, is just the second half looked like what we probably should have been from the very beginning, running a starting 11 like that, with energy and intensity and an intent to win or to at least tie like we did on Saturday. Instead, we came out deflated, cold, listless, and we got absolutely run the fuck over in one of the worst fashions I have ever seen. I do not know what the idea was. I need people in media. I need this. I need people in media to ask Tata Martino, what was he thinking? Why was this the lineup when the lineup on Saturday seemed to fare pretty well? Why was this the lineup you chose instead? If perhaps this was the weaker lineup because you're not prioritizing the Open Cup, then I guess that's what's happening here. But, I would have switched those around then. Like AJ and I talked about on our weekly episode, you play the weaker hand on Saturday looking to prioritize the Open Cup on Tuesday. It's like we did the exact opposite. Why? The only reason we could potentially be relevant this season, outside of an incredible miracle of, getting new players in after the transfer window, which I don't really hold my breath for as long as Spector's here still. I don't know what the hell we were thinking. That was the only thing that would have made us at least a little bit relevant, is making a deeper run in the Open Cup. Because there's nothing here for the league for us. We're staring down spoon territory once again. It's beyond unacceptable. Again, it's a rivalry game, a meaningful game, and you come out like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. AJ, I know you're not as upset today for unrelated reasons, but at least for a little while, come down to this despondency with me and commiserate a bit, will you?
Listen, just because another one of my teams won the league tonight, it does not mean that this doesn't hurt just as much as the pain and the ecstasy. Both sides of it. And yeah, there's a lot to address in what you asked, and I'm going to do my best to address those things. Not that I have the answers, but I'm thinking I can make logic out of this just fiery garbage that we watched tonight of a first half. I mean, yeah, it's just, it's an outrageous starting 11 as far as it goes. As with a 5-man back line, with the 2 men up top, I think we were trying to match Orlando. And when there are 2 strikers, you try to play with 3 center backs. But the problem is the personnel in that 5-man back line. And I've said this time and time again. You cannot win anything meaningful with Ronald Hernandez in your back line. He got scorched time and time again. And he's getting older. He's not getting any better. He's not the only one at fault. But the problems really start when there's imbalance in the team. And for me, Matt Edwards, who has played a lot more convincing of a center back than Ronald Hernandez has before, started at wing back. Mm-hmm. Baez, is the left wing back, and Amador is one of those one of those center backs for some reason. I understand that Mihai might be a little bit injured. Barakal, that's he probably wasn't fit for a full 90, but had to be thrown on. We'll get to the second half, but yeah, I mean, I don't think the midfield was the problem, but they got bypassed completely because all Orlando had to do was just quickly lift their head up, put the ball in the air, in behind our defense, and we, for some diabolical reason, were playing the highest line possible at the midfield line when your 2 other guys can't really track back like that. No. Yes, Stan Gregerson can be a safety valve at times, but he cannot cover up for 50 yards of space
against
behind
2 or 3 players running down your throat. Like, and Angulo, too, who is made of speed. That was incredible to see. I don't know where they got off thinking, this is a good idea, this will work. I mean, anyone watching this game with any semblance, any ability to rub 2 brain cells together to activate any neurons whatsoever, can just see them hoofing the ball over and over and over again. And they're just like, well, I guess we're just going to keep trying to do what we're doing, and hopefully it works. And it just, after goal, after goal, and it, like the announcer said, no exaggeration, no hyperbole, could have been 7. One guy even said almost could have been 9. Like, what in the world? I mean,
yeah, you feel bad for Hibbert because most of those goals, besides the third one,
yeah,
what could he really have done?
And he had excellent saves too.
Yeah, and so like this is clear that this is not on him. Yes, his goal, it's a bad pass, but it's also a little bit of a hospital ball by Amador in a moment where the pressure was already there.
Yeah.
Don't put it back for your goalkeeper to try to do something with. He's always going to be the one that is worse on the ball. So he didn't have that much space.
And you knew they were coming. They knew that they were pressing. They knew that they were going to do this. And yet they still played with fire and they got burned.
Right. And it's this. It's the whole, when you have all your players trying to push onto them, trying to play with the possession, and you're not really doing that much with it, but they've lulled you into this false sense of just calm and ease, and then ball over the top. They're in. And it is like exactly what you're saying. How could they not have recognized that, we do need to actually start dropping a little bit deeper? And what actually happened on Saturday is not the same as what is going to happen today. And essentially, bar a couple of moments with Moranchuk and some link-up play near and in the box in the first maybe 10 minutes. Like that first half, nightmare show. And in a place where, again, like you're mentioning, you cannot do that. They haven't even really played that well at home.
I know.
City.
It's not like Orlando's even that good of a team. This is ridiculous. Exactly. Like, come on.
They are good in attack, but to allow them to look like world beaters.
Exactly.
Embarrassing. And tonight is on Tata. I mean, it's
you just got it wrong.
No bones.
Completely wrong. Like the worst. Like they're just super effective against what we were trying to do.
Exactly, and sometimes you match the formations with your opponents, but I don't think we were matching to be able to hurt them. We were matching to be able to maybe contain, possibly, but as far as that, I mean, you can't necessarily play the same 11 as you did Saturday, but I think at the very least what you try to do is figure out what worked with it, which was absolutely, yes, we outworked them in midfield. Okay, well then how do we actually make this a midfield game? It's not by being completely in their half, essentially, and allowing them to just play in behind us. That's not our strength. Our strength is not covering counters. That's been our Achilles the entire season. And we've been scorched even in the game on Saturday. That match, we got a bit lucky at moments. In spite of that, that's kind of how we were able to at least get a draw. But this match exemplified all of the issues for Atlanta United. Heads dropping, getting killed on the counter, your teammates not covering for your other teammates. Because I saw numerous plays where teammates were giving up on it. And essentially you're hanging Hibbert out to dry. You're hanging whoever is even trying out to dry. Most of the times they were outnumbered. It was like 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Like, you're not going to win many games doing that. And I hate to say this. I never want to see Ronald Hernandez play again in an Atlanta United shirt.
I agree.
Like it wasn't good against Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Like, why are we putting him in a position where he has to defend well?
We know he never has. He never has. Like, he's done okay in some other positions. He's never done well in the center back position. It's been like historically bad. Like, people are like, oh, I remember some of the worst times Atlanta United has had center back performances, and many of them have been Ronald Hernandez. People just know that. And it's not all his fault. It's not really his position. But for some reason, we keep going back to that well, and then we're just like surprise Pikachu face when we get like 4 hung on us. It's maddening.
Yeah, it's a net negative when he starts or even plays in a center back position.
Yeah.
And
I love you, bro, but
I mean,
it's just yeah, we're done. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Like it's thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. It's I can't. I cannot watch that.
We can't do it anymore. We cannot do that anymore. It's like you see that in your I'm like, I will throw up if it happens again. It's just it's that visceral of like It's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, and then just the starting 11, the way we did it, the way we rolled out, the way we just were flat. It's just like walking into the Orlando Stadium with a goddamn white flag. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
You can't do
it's
that
also
in a situation like that.
Yeah. It's also starting Emmanuel Atl. Yeah, he scored when it was meaningless.
Yeah.
But in the moments that we needed the hold-up play, when we needed goals, yeah, I mean, we weren't able to keep the ball in and around the box. Like, we had to play quick interchanges to make something happen, which, again, yes, some of that happened in the first half, in the first 10 minutes. But our best play has looked like with Moranchuk as the false nine. So exactly how we mentioned in 5-Star Weekly. Yeah, why did we look so much better on Saturday? Why did it bring us positivity? Why did it seem like, oh yes, we have turned a corner to a degree. Let's continue to roll out what works. Instead, we roll out something that is calamitous and actually maybe kind of moves us back a couple steps.
Does 100%. Yeah. Anyway, we're going through it right now, Nick. Nick, thanks for joining us. I know you didn't catch a lot of the game. I honestly don't blame you after like seeing what happened in the first like minute or two, right? But
yeah, I turned it off after the first goal. That's how dejected I was. I knew what was coming. The moment that first goal happened, I knew what was going to happen.
You could see it. It was like the writing was on the wall. The players just weren't up for it. You could tell. Like, Orlando smelled blood in the water. The players looked like they were just gonna get out there and lie down and just get run right over. And that's exactly what happened. And they weren't set up to do anything more than that. They weren't set up to win either. And I just don't. There is no other way you could have played this game and had it like been more successful at completely throwing. Like, I don't know what you could have done better to throw more here. It's just ridiculous.
I think it could have been where if we decided to not try to play with possession, play in a mid block, and not try to make our back line defend acres of space in behind them. They're not good at it. Why are we asking them to do it? It's just, yeah, they need to condense that space as much as possible because most of them are not pacey. So, or, with the fullbacks, they get out of position a good bit, which is exactly what happened tonight, time and time again, leaving basically one defender out in the back, trying to defend, again, 50 yards of space, at least vertically, and whatever the pitch size is for Inter and Co Stadium horizontally, but it's a lot. Like, no, even the best defenders can't do that. Why are we doing this to players that are not world beaters? Where are we in the league? Acknowledge that.
I know.
Let's play like it.
Seriously. Play like you have some humility and understanding about what you are, what kind of team you have to work with. I mean, Tata is smarter than this. That's why I'm like just completely dumbfounded as to why we roll out like this. And like I said, the only explanation I could think of it is that he just didn't care. He didn't care about the Open Cup. He prioritized the league result. And that, because why? Why else? Why else do that?
I don't know. I disagree with that. Nick, what do you think?
I think that a junior varsity team could have defended Orlando better. I think that an 8th grade squad, a middle school squad, could have defended Orlando better than we did. It was absolutely atrocious. I remember the feeling I had that I wrote in my article about when I saw the lineup against the LA Galaxy. When I saw this lineup, I was even worse than that.
Is Nick a little quiet?
Yeah, I did bump his volume up a little bit.
Oh yeah, is that better?
That's a little better. You're
That's
good
way
now.
better.
Okay, let me back up and say that again then.
Yeah.
A junior varsity squad would have defended better tonight against Orlando. An 8th grade squad, a middle school squad, would have defended better against Orlando tonight. When I saw this lineup, I go back to what I wrote in my article about when I saw the starting lineup, my hopes were sunk. It was even worse, this one. Because I was like, why? Why? And Barracall wasn't even in this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
You know? He started the LA match, and I'm like, Ronald
yeah,
Hernandez, really?
He kept the clean sheet in the second half.
Yeah, you can look at it that way. If you're a masochist, you can look at it that way.
For sure. For sure.
But we're all masochists to keep watching this team.
We are. So, like, what do you think?
I mean, this is the thing, you know. Well, on that,
mm-hmm.
I am living proof that you can go through the dark days and come through on the brightest of nights, and it's all worth it. So,
just a moment.
Yeah.
How many years did that take for Arsenal to win the league?
The league, 22 years. But, yep, you know,
we're
as far
only
as that
6
goes,
removed from a decent team.
I know.
Here.
Oh, I know. oh, I know. But
we have a long fucking way to go.
Oh yeah,
exactly. You know, there's a lot of those memes out there. There's a lot of those like videos that are like, oh, you know, if you date an Arsenal fan, you know they're loyal. I think that's also true with Atl Utd fans because, yeah.
I mean,
this is.
I'm
a
Flyers fan. They haven't won since 1975.
Yep. I'm not even sure what to say about that, but
I'm not touching that.
Yeah. I mean, that's like before you were alive, man. So it's like before any of us were alive, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm closer to 1975 than any of y'all, so watch it.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I won't be the other Nick where it's always about age, but yes. But I mean, it really is. It's like, as far as, you know, us having to go through this, I think there is light at the end of the tunnel because the summer window is right there.
Yeah.
And, you know, as far as there are a lot of players that are proving themselves out of the squad. Like, it's the decision is being made very simple.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I mean, the ones that are staying, that one is probably, you can count it maybe on 2 hands, maybe. I'm not sure actually, but I haven't done the maths exactly.
So AJ, to answer my question, you were going to say something like, maybe it's they were heavily rotated and completely switched our formation and changed everything like that and got absolutely swatted because we just couldn't field a similar 11 from last time. We just couldn't do it. So this is how he was able to put things together.
No, I mean, I don't think it's. I think he was wanting to match that formation for Orlando City, knowing that there are 2 strikers. And having three center backs is one of the ways to counteract that. If you have center backs, when you play 2 fullbacks as your center backs, and you play 4 fullbacks essentially in your back line, and where all of them pretty much kind of went on walkabouts a little bit. I mean, I think we were just asking for it. I mean, it was just like, these guys are not equipped to play this.
So my question, like, why? Why did this? Why are we doing that?
I think Tata, in some maybe twisted way, felt like it could work.
What was not working about Saturday? I felt like we were doing well. We had the statistics, like If you look at the lineup graphic, we don't have Mihai. Mm-hmm.
All right, we don't have. So basically, we have And then, with Barakal being probably not 90 minutes fit as well, and plus it being 2 days ago, we had one healthy center back. So, okay. I think one of the other players that probably should have played in the center back position, like I said at the top of the show, Matt Edwards.
Yeah.
Because he's at least look-wise looks the part.
Yeah, and if he gets beasted, like he has, like I remember in Charlotte that one game, he got beasted as center back, but I'm okay with that for the most part. Ron Hernandez, I'm just not okay with it.
Exactly. He gets beat with pace. He gets beat with strength. He gets beat with positioning. I don't understand what anybody would see in him as a central defender.
It's like no one
Even
told
in the
Starbucks.
Starbucks. Let's not kid ourselves here. He loves espresso. Let him go work in a Starbucks.
Like no one told Tata, like, oh wait, whoa. I see you're about to put Ronald Hernandez as a center back. I just want to remind you what happened the last times this had to happen. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we break glass in case of emergency for literally anything else.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It is Tata Martino, and as far as anybody telling him what to do, no one's telling him what to do except for maybe one of his assistant coaches as far as suggesting what to do. But it is it's a damning thing maybe for the video team a little bit. Someone should have put a package together and been like, yo, just like slip it underneath his door, like, hey, Tata, please watch this when you get a moment, because
you can't do that. You cannot do that.
Yeah, but so I think we were woefully short in the back anyway. That is also a damning thing on the roster construction of this team, and to think that we had enough to possibly even deal with this. I mean, essentially, I think it would have been a slightly different scenario if this game had not been 2 days after we had played in MLS. Because basically, we took one team down to Orlando, and we couldn't fill it out with any other center backs, as far as from the twos either. And essentially, I mean, I don't think the attack let us down in this match. I don't think the midfield let us down in this match as far as from an attacking standpoint. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's because game state.
Yeah,
but it's because that back line just was a sev. It got flooded immediately. And what can you do? And basically, no one was shielding that back line either, because essentially they bypassed that. It didn't even matter if anybody was sitting between the center backs. It was pretty much whoever from pretty much their zone 14 area, they launched it.
Yeah.
And that's all they needed to do. I mean, it's just, it's circumstantial. It also is diabolical, though. I mean, it's just like there isn't much of an answer that you can do when we obviously don't have the personnel, and then you make crazy decisions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's just, yeah. But
man.
Go ahead.
Well, Mike Conti said on the radio broadcast, not a lot of honor done to the badge tonight. Sorry you had to listen to it. Sorry I had to watch it. What do you all think about that?
Yeah, he's right. I mean, all of us were... It's the Adam Sandler movie. I think it's Billy Madison. I don't know how exactly it goes, but basically it's we're all dumber for having watched that. And we award you no points.
Yeah.
Atlanta United.
Yep. That's I remember that one.
Yeah. I mean, it hurts all of our heads, I'm sure. And to be fair, it put a damp. I was on cloud 9. Now I'm at baseline now.
Cancel each other out.
Yep. It's like all that just okay. But I'm sure the next day, so guys, I'm going to North London. I'm going to enjoy this because there has not been a lot of joy as far as Atlanta goes, and yeah, it's one of those things. I'm gonna drink it in when I can because I know that when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's real bad. So enjoy the good times. Like that. I'm pulling out life lessons now, but it's
true. It's true. I want to say that also that's awesome that you're going to London for that. Awesome for you. I also want to say that before this game, when you put out the graphic for today about the match day graphic, I said that I hope the team understands the moment they're in. Be a hero here, and you can become a legend to the fans. I did not see a team that recognized the moment, like I said earlier. And that, again, I feel it needs to be belabored. It needs to be nailed in and repeated over and over again. That is the bare minimum. And again, and we were talking about the other day, Galarza seems like the kind of guy, maybe Hoyos, maybe, some of these South American players who come in and say, who's their rival right when they get here kind of thing. I mean, not putting in those guys from the get-go seems a little bit of a misplay. If that is what's going on with them. I liked for a minute having the homegrown zone in the midfield was kind of interesting because I was like, that's a lot of firepower in terms of intensity and youth coming at Orlando, and I was like that could be interesting. And I would expect that they would have that, that the X factor, right? That extra want to do a number on Orlando because they know the history of Atlanta United and they care. They genuinely do. Of course they do. Outside of that, I just didn't see a lot of it from the rest of the players. I just didn't. And that's the bare minimum non-negotiable that you have to have in a rivalry game, in a meaningful game where something is on the line. It's just unacceptable. And we just have to keep saying it so they understand. Because you don't... And then this comes back to I was hearing other people talk about, well, it's Jonathan Spector. He brings in mercenaries. He brings in people who just don't really care about the badge. Like Mike Conti was kind of saying, no honor for the badge tonight. Guys just not playing for things. They're just, here to pick up a check and whatever and move on. We can't be doing that anymore. Jonathan Spector cannot be here anymore if he's bringing in guys like that, if he's scouting guys like that. We need to do better. When Calabro gets in, if he doesn't shake things up and make a move there immediately, I think that's going to be a huge misplay as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of that, but I don't think it's really all because of that. It's not like these players don't care. We've seen them care. We've seen them give massive effort for majority of matches, maybe not all of matches, but this game state absolutely was the issue. And it's the players that give up on plays and basically hang their teammates out to dry. So
I mean that's pretty much the operational definition of what I'm talking about when I say care.
Yes, but there are those moments that I didn't see the midfield just give up.
Yeah, I mean no one gives up. No one throws their hands in the air and ostentatiously parades around like here's the white flag. No one does that. Everyone continues to play. Everyone still puts in effort, but you can tell when they have tooled down, or like you said, they lower their heads. They become more dejected and emotional and get in their own mind and get stuck there perhaps. That is the kind of stuff when I say they don't care. And yeah, maybe it's not the right word, not the right saying, because of course they care, of course they continue to try, of course they put intensity out there. That's obvious, that's evident. Everyone does that every game. We always see it. It's just when you see the psychic damage they receive from getting punched in the mouth, and then there's no comeuppance. There's nothing that comes from it. They just kind of keep tooling down. That's really depressing.
Right.
And that can't happen in a rivalry game. It has to be back and forth, right? As you get,
for sure.
You get punched, like you punch back, not just get pummeled over and over and over.
And I think this is what I'm not seeing in the team is composure.
Mm-hmm.
When you get punched in the mouth, yeah, I mean, like in a fight, yeah, you expect the other person to, probably punch. If you're not just completely overwhelming them, and they're probably going to land something. So, and it like in any league, in any football, soccer match, is that's going to happen. There's going to be ebbs and flows, but we lack the composure to absolutely do anything about it and figure it out on our own. Like the players. I don't think there's a lot of soccer IQ, unfortunately.
I agree.
It feels like. And I think that's kind of the issue here is that, okay, yes, this happened. How do we fix it right now?
It's also lack of leadership on the field to adjust mid-game.
Exactly. And so, someone's not vocal enough as well from that end, from, that leadership end. And these players obviously haven't played together in this formation and, with these tactics. So they're lost. They don't know who they're covering. They don't know what to do. But in some senses, it's like, yes, okay, Tata is the guy. But in some senses, you also have to challenge him. Because if you're on the pitch, and even the second goal goes in, I'd be like, throw the game plan out the fucking window. Like, it's not working.
Yeah, recognize. Yeah.
Tata is being grilled by the reporters right now as we speak.
Good.
He came into the room and is immediately claiming responsibility, I'm reading.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Sidney Hunt of Scarves and Spikes is grilling him right now as we speak.
My man.
And rightfully so. I don't blame Sidney one bit. The question, and I don't have the answer to it yet, it says, why of all nights did you decide tonight to do this versus another evening, especially if the team was not prepared to play in that fashion?
Very pointed question. Yeah, away. Against a team you cannot be embarrassed by in a meaningful match. That's why I was like, this is literally like identical to what you would do if you were like, what do I do to throw this match? This? Sure, let's roll with that. That's what it frickin' feels like.
Well, again, I don't think he threw the match. It's because we did not have the personnel in the back.
Yes, I know. He didn't throw the match. I understand that. I'm just saying.
But
this is it's still very similar to that.
Right. But it still
looks like it.
Yeah.
Excuse us not starting possibly the right personnel in the right positions, or even kind of going something similar with what worked on Saturday as far as the back line, because yes, it looked balanced. And instead, we imbalance it completely with guys that are absolute misfits in that back line. Playing 4 fullbacks and not Tomas Jakob is diabolical. Like he wasn't in the graphic. I don't think he was match fit.
Alzate wasn't in there as well, which was interesting, considering we didn't see him in the other game, which you'd think perhaps...
Okay, so he was in it, but obviously wasn't match fit.
Right.
Otherwise, he would have gotten the nod, I feel like, because he should have been one of the center backs.
Should have been.
I mean, it's just like, who else is at least pacey enough, if he's positioned correctly for, majority of the players in this league, okay, and then definitely tall enough to win some headers.
Oh, We've seen him win headers. The easiest call for that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think a back line of Edwards, Gregerson, and Jakob would have been okay. Wouldn't have conceded 4, or at least however many shots they had in that first half. It was like 15 or something. And it seemed like 12 of them were on goal.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Nick, final thoughts.
I don't know what to add to all of this. We have one more match before we mercifully get a break from all of this. We're going to straight up probably get murdered in Columbus on Sunday. And, this is rough, man. This is rough. I don't know how you can't sugarcoat this poor performance in any way, shape, or form. And we're not going to. We shouldn't. None of us, Scarves and Spikes, 5-stripe final, Doug Robertson, we all should not sugarcoat this whatsoever. This was a terrible performance, a terrible lineup.
Yeah, and
I mean,
the thing is, we say this.
What else can I say?
Yeah, and we say this because we want them to learn from this. We want them to feel the sting, so their brains go, ouch, that's hot. I touched a stove. Maybe we don't do that again.
Because it's every little decision that adds to why we started this lineup, why we made the decision to play the way that we did tonight. Every little thing, if it gets reinforced, of like, oh, well, yeah, and something that you said, Michael, before we let Nick go, it's that, and I've lost it, I think, but I'm trying to talk my way back into it. It's basically, why didn't we try this when we were absolutely just sideways in some of the earlier matches?
Yeah.
Try it with the 3-man back line. Try it with some different personnel in a less meaningful match.
Yeah. Yeah, Doug Roberson said that in one of his tweets tonight, too. He was like, hey, I was kind of going for perhaps playing around with experimenting with doing something like that earlier in the year. Why do it now? So, yeah, it's similar to what, Sydney is trying to, like, poignantly get at with his pointed question, which I think was excellent. And I'm really excited to hear that answer.
Okay, you're going to find this even more hilarious. Right before he said he claimed responsibility for the performance, through the translator, he said, no, we didn't see this coming. It's a horror movie that we didn't expect.
How do you not see Ronald Hernandez as a center back not being a horror movie?
Well, I think that's the problem, is that he hasn't watched some of these players enough to know what they're not good at, what they're good at. And yeah, I mean, he sees different things in training than us, but we've seen these players, especially if they've been with us for 6 years or something like that. Like, we know what they're good at. We know what they're really bad at. And
training match.
I don't know.
Training match.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Yeah, and that, and also
training
like
match. Two different things.
I feel like if you're a coach and you're coming into a team that you don't know that much about, you should probably do the research. I don't know. That's just me. But then again, I'm not a coach, so.
Or keep some of the coaches that were there. Like, I think Carl Robinson probably should have at least been kept or something. Like somebody, because that's why it. Well, maybe it didn't work, but as far as like out and out full success. But Rob Valentino being that guy that was the stalwart that kind of, was the guy that knows the squad a little.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, you bring a whole staff that just like, yeah, well, okay, well, we're going to learn everybody.
Yeah.
Well, these are the growing pains, unfortunately.
To a certain degree. And this is not I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Ronald, and I were piling on him a bunch tonight, which is not totally fair. But, I mean, even if Tata goes, all right, I'm tapping you for center back tonight, buddy, maybe it makes sense to me that even he might go, are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure he's just happy for the playing time because he hasn't played in over a month. So it's like, I mean, if not more. I think the last time was.
But even then,
the match.
Shouldn't he be like, I mean, last time I did it, it wasn't great. Are you sure? And then if he's still like, yeah, it's like, okay, all right, I'll do the job. But I feel like, if I don't know, I'm like, I have to use my leg for my job. Like, maybe let's just say I'm a soccer player, and I have a broken foot. It's like maybe I tell the coach before he puts me in, I have a broken foot. I'm not going to be very good. Are you sure? You don't want to pick someone else? But,
I think he's just relishing the playing time, and unfortunately, yeah, a bit of that is selfishness, a little bit, and then as well, not really in his control. So
yeah.
I mean, I think
it's largely out of his control. Of course, that's why I couched it with
thought.
it's not exactly fair to say that. So
here's my thought. Well, let me run a web search real quick. Espresso shop job openings.
Well, probably not many because AI might be coming for those as well. So
if you all seen the Rooted in the Stripes episode with him, you know what I'm referring to, by the way. Just for context, for those who might not have seen that, he really loves his espresso.
He's a big coffee connoisseur now, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, this is my last thing about him, and I'm going to stop bragging on him. But, when you're not playing a lot, you just need to start getting hobbies. So, there it is. Yeah. But
all right, Nick, thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to let you go. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that this is what this was, but at least you could talk with us for a little bit about it and commiserate. Jeez, man.
Love you all. Thank you all for suffering with us through whatever the hell this is.
Yeah. Well,
likewise.
Good night.
See ya.
Cheers.
Like AJ said, the light is not necessarily far away at the end of this tunnel because of the transfer window coming up in short order. With obviously, the World Cup, rinsing some of the bad taste out of some of our mouths, perhaps. This is not going to be all that bad for much longer, hopefully. I just don't see, when Calabro comes in with the direction he tries to take with the next transfer window with Chris Henderson trying to fix some of the wrongs and a lot of just the bad blood leaving this club and new guys coming in. I think we can't do worse considering we're literally like almost about bottoming out once again like last season. I mean, it sucks to be here, but the only way is up. And somehow Philadelphia keeps digging themselves even deeper somehow. So it honestly might be hard to catch them in terms of being as bad in MLS. So, outside, and then again, we've talked about this. It doesn't really matter to me if you're 14th or 15th. If you're the Spoon or the runner-up for the Spoon, you're both absolutely terrible and deserve to be lampooned. So we're there. We're already there, and it's not good. So you can only go up. Hopefully, that's what happens.
Right. I mean, it's. I think we did a little bit of it last year. I mean, we're in the meme territory now. I mean, it's just it's not exactly so nice. And speaking of memeing. But yeah, it's not so nice to do that, obviously, to your own club. But this one, worthy of that. Don't you think, Jay?
Worthy of poking my eyes out.
Indeed. Something to that degree. I mean, you and I just, we went through the same pain and ecstasy today, and how'd you find your night watching this?
Well, it's definitely popped the balloon I was, riding on. I have a lot to add. I mean, you guys have already said a lot what I would say, but honestly, put most of the blame on Tata on this one. I think he should have wore a paper bag over his head in the second half. It was dreadful. You have to remember, he loves to switch between the 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1 and a 3-5-2. He did so with Atlanta United, especially in 2018, switching to the 3-5-2 here and there during the season, but especially towards the tail end and stuck with it through the playoffs that led us to an MLS Cup. And then he, played around with it to quite a degree of success with Inter Miami as well against certain opponents. But you have to remember the talent that he had at his disposal with Atlanta United in 2018 and with Inter Miami are heads and shoulders above what we have available in our player pool.
Yep.
And
Building.
yeah, and so that's what was amazing to me, is that with the lack of depth that we have at center back, with the problems we've had in that area, even with Mihai having a knock, say, from the last game, and understanding that, with the way Barakal's been playing, he's maybe thinking on being uneasy with putting him in there. You have an almost $700,000 salary player in Thomas Jakob that's supposedly your golden boy in the back. Why wasn't he played? I want to know what was going on in that regard. Instead, you put on a guy who has played barely any minutes. Definitely, we've seen nothing reported in training by the press or anybody seeing them, rehearse or hearing about the 3-5-2 being rehearsed, and maybe up until the other day in Orlando, which they had a late practice, and you're throwing him in the mix there, and you're leaving Hibbert out to hang out to dry. You have to understand, in 2018 it was so successful because he put Lorenowitz as a defensive midfielder who was already a center back thinking minded defender. Right. So you had a back three and Escobar, Parkhurst, and LGP, but then you also had, Lorenowitz sitting in front of that back three. So Parkhurst could sit deeper, and you're talking about one of the best tactical defensive minds in the history of MLS, and Parkhurst, and one of the smartest guys in the room with Lorenowitz, those two together, leaving Escobar and LGP free to wreak havoc in the back and defensively. And that's the opposite of our situation. Our situation is typically Gregerson is having to play babysitter behind the wingback to cover the space and behind Jakob or Edwards, who are more forward thinking. And so this just didn't make any tactical sense to me whatsoever. And so to me, it wasn't that shocking. To me, this wasn't really about were the players passionate enough, or did they put enough effort in. They were shell shocked for the first half. And you had ELL playing almost as a defensive midfielder at one point, coming so far back. I understand Tata's system is to have him, and he talks about having him come deeper, but that's to release pressure, or when you're without the ball in the other half, in their half, not in our own half, right. Coming back, and then when he gets the ball, he's supposed to hold it up, not sit back and lose the ball and lead to a corner kick, which ultimately leads to a play that leads to a goal. And granted, Hibbert made a mistake that led to the third goal, but he basically was the only reason we didn't go down 7 or 8-0, with some amazing stops in the first half.
One big paw that reached out to one. That was incredible.
2, I count. Because, there was another one that, looked not the smoothest or anything like that, but, he, just pawed it down, on that shot from the right side. And it's just, Hibbert kept us in this match. He, I think, is absolved of most of the blame, I think, for every goal except for one. Mm-hmm. And it's just, But go on, Jay.
Yeah, so in the end, Tata put these guys that aren't equipped to play in that formation in this position. And so he is ultimately to blame. My concern is that, he spent all this time trying to figure out his best starting 11 and his best rotation, right, in a thick number of games in a short period of time, and was showing that these guys were starting to get it, right? He was playing guys in similar enough positions where they were starting to click together, and he was starting to find that balance. And then he throws it completely out the window for the only game that's going to lead us to any silverware this season. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what he was drinking. Yeah. And the other thing is, this is the kind of coaching mistake that can shatter confidence. These guys were starting to build confidence. You saw them, granted, against a very weakened Toronto, with basically all their main players out, injured or elsewhere. And but they started to gain some confidence. You saw it, statistically, Yes, we're fragile when it was coming to giving up leads against teams. LA Galaxy, we first scored the first goal, then gave up 2 in the first half. Towards the end of the first half, yes, we were leading New England, and we gave up. But that's a different symptom. That's a symptom of a different problem that they were starting to work on. Now you've thrown that completely out the window. This has completely shattered their confidence, probably, and we don't have that much time to rebuild that confidence and momentum before the break.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, to finish that whole quote, he said, "It's my responsibility." Martino's Doug said Martino said he thought the team was evolving and ready to play that formation. He followed that up by saying, "Clearly, I was mistaken."
It's like ready to play that formation. Yeah, okay, after a meaningful game is played with the right players before you completely...
He has an entire summer break to rehearse. When he brings these guys, he can bring them back early if he wants to, before the break's over, and rehearse this. This is a weird time to decide to throw this when you only have 2 days rest.
Yeah, when
Exactly. 2 days
largely what happened in Saturday kind of worked.
Exactly.
Sanchez is coming back. Sanchez is not fully. He was ill.
Yeah,
you're bringing him back. You have a knock on Mihai. Barakal's not playing with confidence. This is not that. These are. It's not the time to try this out. And then to throw Galarza in and take Jay off, who was kind of our only spark. Without Pico, he was at least showing some energy out there.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of minutes management. I think with Fortune, I think he knows that.
I think he just thought the game was thrown away and just took Jay and Mira, our 2 best players, at the time off, maybe, and just said forget it.
To be fair, at that point, I don't blame him on those substitutions. But you're like trying to preserve the future as far as a little bit of that goes. Because if you run Fortune down to the ground again, it's
imagine if either of those guys got injured and we lost 4-1.
Exactly. So it's a bit of that, but the first half, that's between minute 0 and the extra minutes and in 40, not extra minutes, but the oh my god, words are just escaping me. But anyway, the extra time, stoppage time. Oh my god, guys, this has just broken my brain. And
listen, we lost 4-0 to New York City last summer. And I thought that was bad. And then we gave up, was it 4 goals or 4 or 5 goals last year against Chicago, but then came back and at least we're only, lost by a goal. This is probably the worst defensive display I've ever seen from Atlanta United.
Well, yeah. You didn't watch the Columbus one, maybe.
But somehow we clawed
2023?
back.
Against an MLS Cup winning team.
Yeah. No.
That was more recently.
Last year.
That was I think a couple years ago. It was in the rain. It was that was.
It's always raining in Columbus.
It is.
Yeah, it is true. It's true. But yeah, I mean, either way, it's this. It's like Tata. He can take the blame here, but I want to see him do something about it.
Yeah, learn from it.
He's gonna have to really pick these guys back up again.
Yeah,
exactly. Because he can take all the blame he wants, and say no responsibility to the players. But it clearly still is that some of these players are, like you're saying, not playing with confidence, and this will not buoy that either. And anybody that's coming on, they're gonna fear being that person that screws up.
Yep.
And
the weak link. Yep.
Come down.
We just don't. I don't think we can play this 3-5-2 formation with these players. When we did in 2018, we had Nagby as an anchor, who basically the ball was stuck to his feet. The guy did not give away the ball in midfield. Yep. It just didn't happen.
Yep.
And then if it did, you had Lorenowitz behind him to help slow the play down before you then had Parkhurst to clean up behind him.
Yeah, we haven't had a player like Nagby since Nagby.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we can't play total football, the way that Tata probably wants to play with these players, where they interchange. One of them goes up. Like Franco Escobar could play again, like the right center back.
Yeah, but then he popped up in the wing.
Right back, exactly.
Right.
Like he was bombing up and down. Gressel was playing as that kind of sometimes as well, right wing back that would be that kind of inverted fullback in a sense.
But he also
because
stuck to the wing more often. He wasn't getting caught running inside a lot, right?
Exactly. And then so, when you have Larry being able to drop back into the back line as well at times, and yeah, it's just like, and then sometimes we could play with a 4-man back line and then, have some guys move up further up the pitch. We don't have that with these players. Well, as well, because they also haven't played together as much as their teams as well. So it's just...
And get ready for more of that in the future, because we're going to get a lot of new players, I think. And then that'll be a betting in period for them as well. So I don't know how long that'll take, but,
And I guess it's this. It's obviously a way different project than what we saw with Arsenal. But is it a trust the process for you, Jay?
Absolutely. I mean, he quickly came out, immediately said he made a mistake, owned up to it. So there's nothing he can do about it now. He's screwed up. And
he's already got one I've been fired under his belt. Like, I should have been fired already. So
I don't know. He screwed up. It doesn't throw away everything he's been doing to build this team, and now he's got a clear idea. Okay, this is not going to work. I'm going to have to keep things simplified with this team, much more simplified. And, I did find it amusing, though. I think ordinarily I would have been fired up when Santos got in with Orlando players, but I'm laughing at this guy thinking he played 7 minutes this season, guys. Slow down. Played all of total like 350, 400 minutes last season. Like, he's not exactly the lion tamer, right?
Right. No, he's not supposed to see a lot of minutes. So.
I thought he was going to get a red card. And I was like, what are you doing, bro?
To your point, though, like, we are looking for that spark, though. Like, someone to step up and to, create a narrative and to fight.
Well, Saturday we thought I thought Jay was going to be that guy.
100%. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was saying he's, the man fit for that kind of mantle coming into it. But, and, he didn't do terrible tonight. But I did want to say,
but he's human. Like,
well, it's a completely different game state as well.
Yeah, you have 2 days rest. Everyone has fatigue in their body, and
he's not going to carry the team on his back when you're 4-0 down.
He still got a rocket off that almost went in, which was amazing. So, and also, Jarrett Smith on X said, losing to a rival is bad enough. Getting dog walked and not showing any fight whatsoever ain't it. And that very much just.
I don't fully agree with his assessment, but yeah.
Okay.
It's close. But I think it discounts the second half. Like,
well, the game was won and lost in the first half, clearly. Like with the Columbus game, like, I don't care we scored like, what was it, like 3 or something at the end. Like, those were consolation goals. It was never going to be enough.
Absolutely.
And this is the same case. Even if we clawed back, it's like Orlando packed up and went home like mentally at that point.
Yeah, if this was a 1-0, or 2-1 loss, and and then you can go back and be like, well, Lot hit the crossbar or the woodwork, or whatever it was, and he scored a screamer at the end. But it's just that's not the context we're talking about here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing too, though, is that these players do need some sort of confidence booster, and they have to. And
Sunday's going to be a difficult place to build that confidence in a rainy Columbus.
Oh yeah, we've historically done
against a team on the bounce.
Yeah, exactly. But I think with that second half, they can at least kind of pick the positives from that one and use it to try to reverse whatever they fucked up with on first half of this match. But
holy shit, you just got like flashbanged.
No, seriously, yeah. Holy shit.
And then you've got assistant coach Nagby now, who's joined the coaching staff, who's got Tata's. Let's see if he can pick Tata's pocket. Playing with him, understanding his tactics. It's going to be interesting on Sunday.
I don't think it'll be interesting. I think we're going to get kind of beat up because we just, even if like Columbus is not doing great, like we just always have a rough time in Columbus, no matter what. So. I never look forward to that game on the schedule ever.
Yeah,
Well,
and
they're
it's
going to be back playing the Nazi ball, which is what their players that they have are used to doing. So they're going to go back to what they're familiar with.
right. I mean, and it's also not a very inspiring town for people to go to either. Which, unfortunately,
It's a hard place to play. It's a very difficult place to play.
Yeah, it's a very like industrial type of town, and the downtown is very, very boring, and so yeah, I think the players will just have to like find some way to rev up themselves, get motivated for this, and play pride for one. For one, their name on the back, and then especially the crest on the front. But yeah,
here's my concern: who's that guy in the locker room after this game that's picking these guys up by their bootstraps, right?
Well,
and you know, who's the great communicator? Who's the guy that's like, you know, rallying these guys and saying, listen, you know, this is a blip. We're better than this. Blah blah blah. I don't know.
Well, I don't think so because
we don't have winners. We don't have like Moranchuk is not exactly, I think, unfortunately, a leader of men.
He's a leader by example on the pitch. He's not a guy that's, you know, I think a man manager.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. He's not rah. He's not going to give the speech. He's not going to like. He's very soft spoken, and especially, you know, like you're saying, with his demeanor on the pitch, it's a little bit more reserved. It's a little bit more. Yeah, he's not going to inspire from his words.
Yeah, it's like our traditional number 10s that we've gotten. It's like Thiago Amato was also very soft spoken. Like Miguel Almiron's kind of soft spoken too. Like. And Miguel Almiron is one of the guys who's supposed to be like that guy to do that. At least they leaned on him a lot when he was here last season. He's not even in the team right now because they're saving him for the World Cup, so he's not going to be able to.
And we don't have a Renowitz. We don't have a Guzan anymore. We don't have one of those guys that's a talker. And you know, in the.
I mean, I think if anyone, it's going to be some of the new guys that came in. I think some of them will have fire. Some of them will want to get, you know, they will get angry at a result like this and will want to do something about it. I really do think Galarza has that type of personality. Maybe Hoyos, I don't know enough about Baez yet. I can't really tell. So, you know, the jury's out with him still for me.
We're young.
Yeah, they're also very young, and we're like, I don't think that's why I didn't include Jacob too, because I just think he's too young. But I do think, like, you know, you can get leadership and stuff from the league. We saw it with Noah Cobb when he was here. Sure. Yeah, he was the one who stepped up. So it's possible. I just, you know, I'm not sure. But if it's going to be from someone, I think it's going to be from one of them because a lot of these guys are from last year, and we know there was a lack of leadership from last year. So,
well, yeah, but this is the thing, is that what I was hearkening to earlier is that we don't have winners. We don't have guys that have done it, tried and true. You know that they're respected in the locker room no matter what, and they're vocal.
Pete Cole may be the closest thing.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not a starter, so it's like we have very imperfect pieces. For the leadership team. Like Miguel Almiron has done it for us, and you know got a trophy with Newcastle United. But the issue is who's saying that Miguel Almiron is a vocal leader that everyone's going to be like, yeah, after he says something. Like
I don't see it. Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. So if we see someone like Kovac continue to show consistency in the remaining matches before the summer break, and I'm assuming MLS Next Pro is also going to be breaking as well.
I believe so.
Yeah. So if we see his next couple games, him score, assist consistently, let's say this isn't a blip. You know, with the 5 goals against Huntsville City, you know, is he a guy that you potentially call up if you don't find a replacement for ELL to kind of, you know, serve as somebody that you try out in that position?
I mean,
I don't see. Go ahead, Mike.
I wouldn't hate it if they decide to do that, but I don't think he's going to be seeing a lot of playing time if you have like Tagashi still there, and the other guy. So I just don't.
Yeah, I think it's this too though. Is you know important thing is that he was doing it in MLS Next Pro, which, okay, he did have, a perfect 5-goal performance in a sense, or 4-goal performance.
Yeah, against a team that was also down a man later on,
Yeah, I think 2 men. It was
2 men,
down
yeah.
Yeah, so it's this. It's like, okay, yeah, he can score with his left foot, right foot, and his head, but the issue is that's that level, and okay, we can bring him on, give him some minutes, later on in matches, see how he does. If he starts to grow into some of these matches, show some things that are missing from our side, which is a lot of.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not saying he becomes a star. I'm saying this. Do you think Tata wants to see him in training?
I mean, it would be a mistake not to.
Yeah.
Like, train with the first team, see how he fares with our center backs, even though, yeah, I mean, it might be pretty. Look, he'd be licking his chops too, probably, for a couple of them. But yeah, I think it's that. It's see what he can do, and if it helps, absolutely great. You lose nothing, basically. You have this guy who's pulling up some trees, and that's why you have this second team. So absolutely, and I hope he is good. I hope he is at the level of MLS. But yeah.
So I've been debating some of the guys in Discord, who are of this belief that we need to do the traditional of finding our feet and building a quote unquote foundation and waiting until the winter to do most of our team building and all of that. And my philosophy is that we've had a couple seasons. Henderson had a window to show what he could do. He whiffed. We still have Spectre. So there's not a lot of confidence that, we have best in player recruitment with what we've gotten the last couple seasons. So is this summer transfer window a time for Mauricio, who I believe there's been some whispering of reports that he's on the phone giving advice already to Henderson and some other things. So he comes in. This is a guy with his resume, which is far bigger than what Eels had coming in. Even when Eels came in, this guy is much more of a stacked resume, much more of a legacy. I would imagine, probably a bigger ego, working, with big teams and even the Federation in Mexico. And, does he come in, say, you know what, I've opened my Rolodex. We're going to contract these scouts. We're going to stop looking at the championship. We're going to look at Mexico, South America. We're going to look at different places. I'm going to maybe not fire Spectre, but, he's not going to have the full out say. We're gonna bring in some new scouting talent, and I'm gonna blow things up. We're gonna use a summer transfer window, which is typically going to be for the most of world football, the most optimal time to bring in players, especially after World Cup, because you have a lot of players going to be on vacation and whose agents are going to be working triple time to find them positions and transfers earlier than they would normally get the opportunity to do so. And so this is a huge opportunity with the World Cup break to really find and blow up the squad, clean out our team. You saw Josh Blank said at the NWSL event that the handcuffs are off. They put no restrictions on the amount of money that could be spent. This is a guy that's not going to want to have his legacy be another 6 months of poor performance because we only replaced 1 or 2 pieces because Baracol, maybe Galarza go, and that's it. We're still stuck with the same DPs. Nothing else changes. I think this is a huge opportunity for the team for Mauricio to put a stamp and say, you know what, I'm going to immediately build confidence with the fans, and we're going to blow this thing up and take risks where we can, because we aren't going to win any silverware anyways.
Yeah, I think there's a strong chance that he does something like that, and I think it would be a massive misplay if he doesn't at least revamp the scouting division.
Yeah, because that is the department that needs to be targeted the most for sure. Obviously, with the talent disparity that I think that we see and the kind of roster imbalance that we absolutely see in this in the squad. But as far as with Culebro as well, though, obviously he does come with that pedigree, and Eels, one of his biggest things, I mean, obviously he came from Spurs, and was that he brokered the Gareth Bale transfer to Real Madrid. But beyond that, I think he kind of with all due respect to Darren Neals, yes, he kind of got a little lucky a little bit with how much money we were able to spend in the first couple of years, because you come into MLS money, you come into with extra GAM, extra TAM,
expansion bonus.
Well, he also had the benefit of Tata being one of the most high-profile managers at the time in the league, coming in and really attracting talent. You know, where now those agents are picking up the phone and calling everybody in MLS. You know, they're being scouted by all these guys, and there's top manager talent all over the league.
And it's part of it. And I think the thing with what I'm trying to get at is that it does become a thing where, well, Culebro, you know, obviously with you know, the clubs that he was at the helm with Tigres as well, as these are big clubs. They act like big clubs. And you know, we've seen, unfortunately, with the likes of Real Madrid, with Chelsea, with clubs like that act a little bit more ruthless. Is there going to be patience for Tata? Is Tata going to be patient? Is Tata even going to stay past his you know, his contracts next year? I mean, you know, with kind of the hot mess that he's running.
That's the thing. Mauriceo's not just putting on a show for the fans. He's putting on a show for Tata to say, listen, we're going to make it worth your while to, if you're going to be here to help us rebuild, quote unquote, we're not going to sit around and waste your time for another 6 months, twiddling your thumbs with talent that you're just going to kick out the door at the end of the season anyways.
Right. And Lagerwey unfortunately wasted a lot of time. I mean, it's and that's kind of the antithesis is like, okay, well, is that the play? I think there is an amalgamation of that type of strategy, because I think you've seen that patience works with some of those things, but there are aspects of it where, yes, you absolutely have to be ruthless, and with players that are not.
Yeah, and Garth, I don't think ever had to put pressure on anybody in Seattle. He had a coach and a team that was putting together pieces, especially with like mid TAM players, that they were squeezing every ounce out of those guys in Seattle. They weren't getting these huge, massive signings, and they were winning trophies. And so I don't think he ever felt that he had to he was very hands off when it came to the sporting side. He was always a data guy. That's what he loved doing with Colorado and Seattle. I mean, he liked doing that stuff. I don't think he liked or enjoyed, doing those sorts of things and impact, being influential in the day-to-day sporting aspect. That's what he kind of let his guys and his other executives take care of that stuff. I think Mauricio is used to dealing with high pressure situations. And so I hope that he brings that pressure and pushes that pressure onto Chris Henderson and those guys to kind of change that culture.
I think they will. I think the environment will change. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my reservations slightly with that is, and with some respect to projects like Chelsea, where basically a lot of that stuff, like being that ruthless with your managers and with some players and all that, if we adopt that type of thinking, though, I worry that because of where we are right now, and we're trying to be this big club, but we haven't been a big club in a long time. We've been mediocre or worse for more than we've been good. I've said this before.
On a positive, though, he's coming in where the academy results are finally, showing and producing the level of talent that we can rely on. Instead of, getting rid of these guys, we should be renewing Kovac's contract, for example, and trying to see if he can, fit somewhere, or maybe hang on to him, or I don't know, maybe we're not getting rid of these guys as quickly as we were with our homegrowns previously, because Tigres and those teams, they also, as much as they have a lot of money on the front end for some of these big stars, they do produce a lot of talent from their academies. And there's no evidence to show that under Mauricio's time, were they cycling through managers every 6 months like Chelsea, who has 5 sporting directors and a very just this overbearing culture of just very now mechanical structure of like, a meat grinder for managers.
Yeah, if I had to guess,
it's like that. I don't get that feeling from him at all.
I would put it in the middle.
There's nothing to show that he's that way.
I would put it in the middle somewhere. Like Garth Lagerwey, I thought was way too slow, and I think he didn't want to develop, as a new fledgling CEO, president. He didn't want to develop the reputation of being a hatchet man immediately when he.
No, he didn't want to make waves.
Yeah, he didn't want to make waves. He didn't want to come in, fire everybody, and now he's the guy who does that when he gets hired places, and he gets the stigma of that. I don't think he wanted that. He wanted to go slow at first, slow to go fast, as he said. And then I think, but Calabro in comparison is more of a seasoned veteran in this world, is not going to waste time. He's going to go, I need to do this. I already have a reputation. I don't care what people think of it. They hired me. I'm going to do the job that they hired me to do with the expectations that come with me. So thus, I think he's going to be able to go a lot quicker, and be a little bit more ruthless, but I don't think it'll be like crazy ruthless, because just that takes some time to look into what he has done when he comes into a new club or to a new project, see how he operates, to see if there's like a pattern there.
Yeah.
But I
don't foresee this guy being like
crazy.
Chelsea, where they're like, Tata, you're not a manager, you're just the coach. I think it's going to be a much more relationship.
I mean, they worked together. So I mean, they worked together at Mexico. So they definitely are going to have that relationship. I think that they're going to be a lot more, it's.
And you think Mauricio would have a fire under his ass because he knows that starting at the end of this year, things are going to start picking up with the NWSL and taking a lot of his attention.
Oh, he's very interested in that. He's very interested in that project.
Yeah, and I think that's really where there's legacy at play here.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has a very large resume, and so I think that's really where, he's going to really make sure that, what I need to do in order to make us successful. I don't have a long timeline for that. I need to do it, pretty soon. Not going to be 2 to 3 windows. It's going to be, like this window if we can, and if we can't, definitely next window.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and probably fix as much of those things as possible. The problem is, we're also in MLS. And
that's the thing. The only thing that's going to be holding him back, I think, from completely overhauling this squad is going to be the hesitation for agents to send their players to a team where they feel their players may end up worse off versus better off. When Tata was first there and things were shifting in the league in terms of, this concept of bringing in players and being a stepping stone, and even with PT, who had a very rough start and with the team, was playing better just before he left, and he did technically get sold. You can argue that Saudi money was going to throw money at this guy regardless of how well he was playing, but he did at least get sold for a profit. And you saw, at least with Almada, he had a successful loan that ended up turning into a successful stay at River Plate, and now he's been sold a bunch of money to Spartak in Russia.
Yeah, Oh, you mean Barco? Yeah.
Oh, you mean Barco?
Sorry.
Yeah, and it is that. I mean, it's like, and to some degree, PT, kind of started the whole like Saudi Pro League type of kind of wave.
God didn't blow out his knee 3 times. Who knows how well they've been doing,
exactly. But playing with Ronaldo and like that. Yeah,
who would South American Player of the Year?
Right, it's well, but yeah. Either way, it's to get back.
Still, could you imagine the current South American Player of the Year, the agent saying, "Yeah, we're going to send you to Atlanta United"? I mean, it's not that context anymore.
I know,
right? Exactly. It doesn't have that cachet at the moment, and it's about getting us back to it. And so I guess, it's
you can find all the good players you want. They have to want to come here.
Yeah, the Thiago Almadas of the world are putting their nose up to this team probably.
Yeah. Back then, it wasn't as much, obviously, because, yes, we were... I mean, it definitely was where we were pulling up trees around the world. There was so much attention on this team. And what a world of difference it is actually right now. I mean, I do have to ask you, Jay, like, obviously, there's been a little bit of a time gap between... where you've been present online and then where you've resurfaced. what brought you back?
You know,
why now?
what? So I don't think it had anything specific to do with anything that was going on with the team per se. I think just different factors in my life changed, and I just sort of, I think by happenstance, just found myself being fire being reignited in me to kind of to be more public about my opinions again. I feel like a part of me I was so publicly facing and you know, out there and putting out so much content that I felt like, you know, it was almost like time for me to kind of sit back and just, you know, let other people take up the oxygen and not give my opinions on everything, and try that out for a while. And then I think it just ended up becoming a lot longer than I never anticipated, and being sort of absent from the public eye that long. I think it just sort of happened with my life circumstances. But I'll just say I'm glad to be back in the mix and mixing it up with you guys and Scarves and Spikes guys and the whole Atlanta United social media sphere, because I think it's even more important now than when we were doing well to have a fan base that's out there and showing their presence, whether it's ranting about things we're disappointed in or not. It's still just as valid because it still shows that there's a passionate fan base out there.
That's a good point. I completely agree. I respect that a lot. Yeah.
And that I was thinking about that the other day because you know, Orlando called us plastic, at least their fans did for a good while, and we cannot be accused of being called at any point.
Yeah, the last time I checked, my tattoo is still on my arm.
Right, exactly. Not untattooed.
It's not a sticker, plastic sticker. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it's that. I mean, it's just like this is really what breeds kind of that, not only loyalty, but also this kind of like perseverance, this resilience in a fan base. That's how we can actually come through on the other side. Because,
well, and I don't know when you started your fandom or your support of Arsenal. I started right around the beginning of 2002 mark, and that was only because I had a college roommate that was from India, who had a friend that would send him, who was in London, would send him bootleg VHS tapes of the team playing. And so that was the only way that I had exposure to the team, and that's how I started to fall in love with specific players, you know, at the time, like Bergkamp and Thierry Henry and Pires, stuff like that. And I happened to start becoming a fan when they were at their pinnacle, right? At 21, 22, and you know, then the Invincibles and then yeah, but I was so it was very similar to, like, you know, starting my Atlanta United fandom at the very beginning and you know, seeing a trophy within the first 2 years, and then that sort of wane away and dip. Like I have that experience with Arsenal, you know, and then going through and God forbid we ever go through a 22-year drought for a trophy, you know. We even with De Boer we had trophies, you know. So we to me, you know, for those out there that haven't supported a team outside of Atlanta United, you know, AJ and I, we've been through it before. The ridicule, the people not. I mean, just look at the vitriol that we get from the pundits, you know, leading up to this championship. People can't stand Arsenal fans. The punditry can't stand it, and that's how it felt when Atlanta United won the MLS Cup. Like the rest of the league just hated us.
Yeah, they were the villains.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of parallels.
Oh yeah, the similarities have been rife from the very beginning, and Orlando City being Tottenham essentially in that sense, for me anyway. And you know, before they won the U.S. Open Cup, which I feel like it didn't really count at that moment because, and it feels like
they pulled a Southampton. It doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like during that moment and during this moment.
Where was the EFL board to suspend them from the playoffs at that time? No.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly that, because yeah, I started following Arsenal in the Invincible season. I mean, basically, I got really lucky.
Yeah, same timing. Yeah, around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And because it was 2003, 2004, and so it was like a year after. But it's like basically in that aspect of seeing this team just do incredibly well, and then you go through that malaise where okay, yeah, there still is. I mean, this is way further out because it's in the 2010s where we win another trophy, but it's like the De Boer era where it's like, okay, it's not quite as good, but okay, we're still winning stuff. And okay.
And I remember the fans tearing each other apart about the Wenger out movement. People forget about the Wenger out movement and how the fan base was completely split, and and how we just felt like, oh, we're playing attractive football, we don't win anything, and but you're just being spoiled, and you should be happy with fourth place finishes. So,
right. But to bring this back to Atl United and the parallels, it's like, yes, that just behemoth of fan base, because people forget, and it's not really talked about as much anymore. Well, because most people don't want to, you yourself, don't want to use Twitter or X as much anymore, and a lot of people have exited. We were the first club to 1 million followers on X, the MLS side anyway, to do that.
And I'll go back. I'll ride that statement there. I went back and I watched this past weekend one of the best MLS matches I've seen in a long time, Cincinnati versus Inter Miami, and seeing Evander go toe to toe with Lionel Messi and just the goal scored, and I'm thinking, God, like Cincinnati must be treating Evander like a king, like we did with Joseph, right? They probably want to build a statue of this guy. You go to their channel on YouTube, his goal highlights got like 300 views. You go and look at Tito Villaba's, and you're talking about tens of thousands of views of his goal, goal against Orlando.
Yeah, we are rare, dude. We are very rare as a fan base.
And you look at even our highlight videos of and we're losing, and match highlights of us losing get more views than Evander's getting on his channel. I'm like, Evander, come to Atlanta. We'll treat you like a king, brother. What are you doing over there? I think people just don't realize how big our fan base still is.
Yeah,
because they have seen the founding members, numbers cut oblivion in terms of renewals of season tickets and a waning amount of people in the stadium. But that doesn't mean they've stopped watching at home or on YouTube or on social media.
Yeah, and that people don't care. And it's that, we're still leading at least paid attendance in MLS despite the malaise. So,
which is crazy.
Being for like a season and almost a half of being the second worst team in the league.
Right. And so it really is, we are kind of that sleeping giant again, parallel to Arsenal. And that's, I mean, if we can get back, it's going to be so sweet. It's going to be
and MLS will be better for it too. It really will be.
Absolutely. Because, the league was a more fun time than, I mean, not just because, we were winning or anything like that. Like, there was, I think, a lot more engagement on everything. Mm-hmm. You look at, like, pretty much MLS stats and whatnot on, their posts on Twitter, on, everything like that. Everything looks depressed. Yes, algorithms are going to algorithm.
And just the quality of the content our team puts out compared to these other YouTube channels that we have is incredible still. Yeah. So we still have a great, talented content team. That all the academy is doing great. All the pieces are there. Even as much as I am so frustrated with Chris Henderson, he technically only came at the end of December 2025. He had one summer window. Who knows what was going on with at the time with the health of our current CEO behind the scenes and other things going on. And so you have a new president coming in. You have really the first, really time where he's going to have a new CEO over him during this transfer window and bringing in his Rolodex and his experience to help in this window as well. And you have a lot more buzz starting to come back. That's going to come in a huge wave when the press starts coming out and the NWSL team name is dropped and the colors are dropped. And, a lot can shift in terms of momentum very quickly in football. We know that. And so with the World Cup and the attention and the eyes coming in on that, there's a huge opportunity. If you flip it on its head, there's a huge opportunity this summer. We know that money's not the issue. So even if there are where you could say, well, you know, is Atlanta United, if you look at the table and the positions we've been in over the last few seasons, is this going to be a team that agents are going to want their team to come to? And you still have to say, well, if you look at the facilities, if you look at the academy, if the agent's looking at for their guy, looking at what the team's willing to spend and do for their player, and also the connections and their ability, even if the team isn't doing well, to try and get them in the right spot in terms of transferring them and allowing them to transfer out of the team when they want to. We don't have a history of trying to hold players down, of being contentious in our negotiations, and the culture is still there that is positive. Should be positive for players that want to come, you know, to play for Atlanta United.
Right. And at the crux of it, it's this. I mean, the money's really good here.
There's no relegation either.
Yeah. There's no relegation. And 2, the checks don't bounce.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like in South America, sometimes they bounce. You know, some players don't get their paychecks when they actually deserve them. And
no corruption. Bankruptcies every 6 months, change of ownership, you know.
There's plenty to love about it, and as far as like, it's pretty cushy for the most part. Like, yeah, you're not absolutely scrutinized if you don't perform well.
Strong Latin American culture in Atlanta, you know.
Yeah, and if you're out in the streets and you know, it's like, okay, you haven't been performing, you're not going to be, you know, chased down back to your house, you know, that type of thing, and so. It's one of those, there's still a lot of intangibles that are going to make it very attractive for a lot of players. The problem is that are we going to be able to get the absolute top of the players that we want? And that's going to be the question. But
Orlando got Antoine Griezmann, which is fun.
Exactly. But right. We should start probably wrapping up a little bit. But
we still have Drew needs to drunkenly give us some of his thoughts about today's game too.
Right. It'll be funny how drunk he truly is, but
it's like we've waited too long and he passed out.
You did?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I am back on social media. My X account was re-enabled today, but only for read only. I'm just using it to read stuff, and I edited my profile. I put in my Twitter profile, if you do still follow me there, my account's been re-enabled. The legal team actually unsuspended it. Even though it was originally suspended permanently for copyright infringements from the content that I was putting out, they actually just completely threw that out the window and unsuspended my account. And so you can find the link to my Blue Sky account in my profile. It's at JW Riddle, and I've started posting. I'm up to a grand total of 60 followers. So not the 2,000 or whatever I had on Twitter, but I'm out there, man.
Get back there. Love it, man. Well, always a pleasure, Jay, and hopefully we can have you on for a better result next time.
All right, and self-congratulations, AJ. Big day today. So in other ways.
Dude. All right, see you.
All right, time.
So hopefully Jay's reemergence, similar to like Tanner's, you would hope that it coincides with a reemergence of Atlanta United, but so far not the case, unfortunately. I'm going to read some of these things.
Well, you know, it's the calm before the actual storm.
Maybe.
It's a good story.
Yeah. Let's see. While we're waiting for Joe, I'm going to read some of these comments. We don't have too much tonight. Kind of obvious to think because, you know, it is what it is tonight. It's a depressing loss. It is a weeknight. That's just kind of what you
that was a hilarious little flashpoint of where you were.
Yep.
It was all red, and you were...
yeah, I was just feet up. Yep, no.
All right, let me get through some of these real quick, and then we'll get to Drew real fast. Jonathan says, thank God I missed the first half. It's a tragic game. Huncho Dev says, this might be there with the 28-3 as one of the worst sports days for me. Man City gives away the league and then an embarrassing loss in a win-or-go-home match against our rivals. GMXian G Mixian says, wait, one center back? Yeah, we pretty much had. AJ did say one center back. He was being facetious, but basically we had only one center back, even though we had
one natural
yes,
center
exactly.
back.
That's what he was talking about. A
And
new
four
Wiseman.
fullbacks playing.
Right, yeah, we didn't have the natural ones. A new Wiseman says, congratulations to the Arsenal, AJ. That Atlanta match was unacceptable. Drew had a funny comment earlier tonight. I miss Rob Valentino. It's sad that he's the most successful coach I've been around for. That is depressing.
Yes, it is.
I mean, to be fair, he had some really great moments with us. So it's, that Inter Miami game
That'll go
and
down.
the whole run up, the playoff. Yeah. Oof, I mean, that's pretty peak.
Yeah.
It's not the peak, but it's pretty peak.
Lex Zone 6 says, no Joseph, no Parkhurst, no Lorenowitz, no Guzan, no LGP. There's nobody here to hold their teammates accountable. They also said, somebody at the top of our scouting department doesn't have an eye for talent, plain and simple. Quote, pragmatic, unquote, is what they called Garth Lagerwey. And he also said, I agree, we should be keeping the Caleb Wileys and the Miles Robinsons. Tommy also says, the team is cooked. And Cameron Olfati says, I mean, when is enough enough? And Jay Riddle says, thanks for having me on, fam. Keep up the great work. Yeah, appreciate you, man. And Connor, our favorite Columbus fan, says, that was certainly a game. Hope you guys are okay. Otherwise, we're fine. Just a little despondent, but, we get through it with the help of our friends. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully, it won't be too bad.
I fear.
But
I fear what
it
happens.
usually is when we go to Columbus. Anyway, Drew, welcome in. How you doing? How you feeling?
This is as bad as it could have been, honestly. It was a shambolic performance from start to finish. I don't have much words at this point. I don't have many words at this point to describe this game. It was from the lineup that was put out to the end of the game. It was all terrible. I get Tata's thinking with basically the 3-5-2, but the players and the positions that some of these players were put in just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Like, why do you have Ronald Hernandez playing as center back? Why do you have Pedro Amador playing as center back? I love Pedro Amador, but he's not a center back. It just doesn't make sense. And you continue to play Latte Lath again when we all see that he is ineffective with the players right now. You have a guy that just that is back with Cayman Togashi, and apparently now we have Sergio Santos back as well. We have the players that could have played in this game, and you just didn't use them correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the reasoning. Like, I know AJ has said, and it makes sense that, like, that's what I guess his reasoning was, but I just don't really kind of understand why he went with it. His reasoning was he wanted to match what Orlando was doing. Why?
I get it tactically. Tactically, I understand what Tata was trying to do. My problem more is where these players are being positioned. We know Matt Edwards can play solidly as a center back. Why aren't we utilizing him as a center back and playing Hernandez out as a wing back? We've seen him have decent success playing in that position and being able to play a role there.
Yeah.
Why are we playing Ilias Baez as a wing back when we saw what Pedro Amador but we saw what Pedro Amador can do at that wing back position. His best season was when he was playing wingback.
Yeah, it's
And
like, what
you
does Pedro have to do, man? You know?
Yeah, it gives him the time and space to do what he does best. And even in the second half, you started seeing him place some of these balls in, starting to combine, but it was too little, too late at that point. And this team is going to have to go through some serious changes here in this transfer window, because if not, we are looking at a wooden spoon this
Do you
season.
think Calabro is going to do the, move fast and heavy and clear things up, change things around once he gets in?
I hope so, because I think there needs to be some... I think there is a lot of pieces that need to be moved. There needs to be new voices in this room. I don't want to put this on Ronnie, but I think the room got poisoned at that point. And I think now you have a lot of players that are lacking in confidence and don't know how to get it back. And it just becomes a void within that dressing room at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with a lot of it. I think one of the things that, I mean, Mike, like, you're asking, like, why, and as far as, like, why there are 3 center backs for the two strikers, I guess it's, as far as why we were matching that, because, if you have 2 strikers and you only have 2 center backs, you are essentially outnumbered already, right? And
right.
then,
I mean, I can do arithmetic, but I'm just confused as to why we didn't just try to play like our game.
right. Well, I think that's the issue, is like, if we only played with 2 center backs there, we were going to get overrun in a different way. It's just that, it would have looked a little bit different. It might have been the same result, unfortunately. But,
Could it be? Yeah. But at least then it's like you roll out a similar thing that the team's used to doing versus this. I feel like you just stand a better chance. I don't know why. It's like, I guess what the thinking is like, you have like, I don't know, I can't think of like analogies today for the life of me, but basically it's like something that normally would work really well against something else, but it's like a weak version of it. Instead, you're going for like a strong version of something that doesn't work really well, and you're trying to just make that work. So like I can kind of see, it's like, well, we're going to go with the thing that's supposed to work really well, even though it's weak. And maybe that'll do a number, but it's like it. And to your point, both may just be run over all the same. But I just feel like we had a better chance with the way we've been doing things, because I don't know, 1-1 draw in Orlando seemed pretty good.
Yeah. Right. I don't disagree, but I think it's also the personnel that's on the pitch, and so Muyamba wasn't probably fit enough to play a full 90 again. But I think I would have maybe, again, I would agree with you here, wanted to see them roll out the actual strong starting 11, and then yes, you have 5 subs.
Taper off.
Take out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Pick off who you need to.
And to exactly your point, that would hopefully prevented a bit of the game state issue that we had.
Yeah, because you don't want to see you completely get outclassed, embarrassed in the first 20 minutes, and then you're not even in the match anymore. So it doesn't even matter. Like, yes, so I agree with you there, but trying to make sense of what Tata was trying to do here, that's what I think.
My really shitty analogy is the best I can come up with, which makes sense. If that's what he went with, that makes sense to me. It's just like we said earlier, we hope he learns from this, that our weak version, or our strong, like our weak version of the thing that's supposed to work here against that, is just broken. It's broken. If you use Ron Hernandez as a center back, if you play too many players out of position, too many players who have no chemistry with each other, who typically don't play with each other, you're going to have a bad time. I almost feel like put Alzate as like a center back over Ronald Hernandez at this point. But
Ooh. I was gonna say I try to be the I'll give him the benefit of the doubt Ronald Hernandez guy, but no, not today. This was
AJ
bad.
literally was like, I don't want to see you again.
No, I don't. I won't go that far because I think he can have a decent role as a backup. I don't ever want to see him at center back ever fucking again. Done.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said. I mean it's basically he's okay as a wingback, like like he can play that position, but it doesn't seem like Tata trusts him at that position. He hasn't played him in that position, even though he's had ample opportunity to do it. And
yeah, you went and flooded the zone with a crazy amount of wingbacks too, which made him kind of redundant.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, and so even the best players, they need to get acclimated to a system.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we think that 2 days was enough to roll out something new in a meaningful game that we had to win? Doesn't make sense, but yeah. Drew, as far as confidence in the team right now and what they can bring forward for Columbus, what do you feel like, if any, can be brought out of this match? Maybe you have to pull something and steal something from last Saturday.
Please do.
I was gonna say that's probably what I'm gonna have to do, but it's something we talked about on Saturday is our midfield. That our midfield is what carries this team at this point. I think we have 4 solid guys that do a job well. Actually, I'll go with 5. You got Cooper, you have Galarza, you have Muyumba, and you have Riley, and you have Galarza.
Fortune.
Fortune. That's the guy I'm missing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are what you build around. You have the heart of your team set up already. Now you have to build everything else around it. Which, it's a challenge, but the hardest part is already done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the midfield is the hardest part in a sense because, yes, that has been part of our issues in the past.
Yeah.
One of the main target positions that we wanted the club to reinforce, and somehow I think it's more we've reinforced it from the homegrowns in that sense, and thankfully so. And I think this is the thing that what we were talking about earlier a little bit is, okay, yeah, you have these young kids that are coming through. Well, yeah, okay, well, you got to start actually taking advantage of the fact that, yes, they are young kids that are coming through that you can keep. You can build around them. You can, it's like those players will help you be able to not have to spend as much. And in turn, you can add more than you ever thought in that sense, because now you're not paying double, triple the odds for possibly less production. And yeah,
Man,
I mean, I think
if only we had some cheap center backs that we gave away.
exactly. And I think that's those. They may not be pulling up trees, but it is still one of those. Yeah, we got some GAM. We didn't use it correctly. We probably should have bought other young, kind of center backs and defenders. But this is the thing. This is that thing that I'm really concerned about. Because we're trying to retool when we're needing to rebuild.
Yep.
We're not a team that's close to contending. We cannot retool. What are you retooling?
Right.
We're not 2 players or 3 players away we're like 10, maybe 12 players away.
Yep.
Like it's far away.
Yeah, you don't bring a car that got ran over by a tank to a mechanic to get fixed. You go buy a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
see some pieces here that you keep for the future. You keep as veterans and as backups. You got your midfield. I'd keep a guy like Fafa. I'd keep a guy like Cayman. You keep... I guess I would say I keep Marinchuk at this point. You have your young players. Almost everybody else can go at this point.
How
But
about,
yeah,
Amador, how about Amador? Are you keeping him?
Not if Tata is not going to play him. I love Pedro Amador. That was a magical run he went on, but he hasn't been given the opportunities to show that ability again. I would love to keep him as depth and stuff like that, but at this point, I don't know if he wants to stay. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cheap as far as what
Yeah.
he's being paid. So, if he wants to stay and be part of the project in the future, like
Yes.
again, I wouldn't mind it. I think there's a yin and yang with Baez and Amador, where one's in theory a little bit more defensive, even though, yeah, Baez his defensive awareness is growing.
Yes.
We'll give it that.
He plays
It's
like a
growing.
young player for sure. And
Yeah,
Amador is
it's
only
Ash.
27, so I guess if he's
Right.
gonna make a move, it would be pretty soon.
Yeah.
Right, but we have to be really cognizant of his context. He came over on a free.
Yeah.
He was
Yes, he did.
unwanted, unfortunately, and so I think he's made himself a little bit more valuable than just on a free
Yes.
for any MLS team. And I feel like him being cheap, it's like, yeah, we lose nothing by keeping him around, and if he wants to be part of the project, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's those other players that are on the higher wages that we had no business going after, especially when they're making that much. And yes, it's like they're not these world-renowned players.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be real. Like, yes, we love them if they're in the Five Stripes, but if we're paying, near TAM level, let's do what Inter Miami is doing, right?
Yeah.
Let's do what LAFC is doing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're looking up to these other teams now. When we used to set the precedent, it's annoying, but what's stopping us from being able to do that besides the hamstrung MLS salary structures, which we got ourselves in this situation?
Yep.
Buyouts. Buy out.
I was going to say, I like Mihai. I don't like Mihai at the money he's making.
Yeah.
I could see Mihai
Plain and simple.
restructuring his contract. I could see that because I feel like he really likes Atlanta. I feel like he likes to be here. I think he actually does care about the team, and wants to do well here. I'm perhaps he could be like a Brad Guzan kind of guy who's like, to stick around. Maybe I'll take a little bit of a less salary. I would like to see that. That would be nice because I do like him. But you're right. He way too much money.
If he does do that, I'll gladly take him because he is a decent center back. He has a fire about him that I like to see in games. I just not at what he's making right now,
All
and that's the same.
How about
with
Tristan?
If an offer comes for Tristan, and it's good enough, I'm not saying no, because he's done okay this year. Would I say he needs to stay for sure? No. But if an offer comes in, I'm not saying no, because you can find a better 6. We already know that the team is looking for a number 6. And if you can find an upgrade, do it.
100%.
Yeah.
You said earlier, like if a good enough offer comes in, my stipulation would just be a offer at all comes in, and it's good.
Listen, I don't even think you need an offer. Like, it's basically you find a 6, and basically he's redundant at that point.
Yeah.
And
his contract is up in the winter, right?
exactly. And so it's like, yeah, thank you for your service. He's been good at times, but yeah, just not a starter in my mind on a winning Atlanta United side that wins trophies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's
Definitely
too
not.
many errors in the game, and it's like he's at that age where he's not going to stamp it out. Like, it's part of his,
Yeah.
it's part of the fabric of
It's a
who
feature,
he
not
is.
a bug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, we don't need to go through every single player, obviously, but
Those are just
I
the
think,
ones I was particularly interested in.
right. But it is that. I mean, it's like, people are, we're not the only ones counting the days of which players need to leave, unfortunately. And it's not a pleasant place to be in. It's not,
I hate it here.
It's not something you do. Yeah. It's like, you'd rather be, this is what was amazing about the early days, and we're trying to sound like those like geriatric people, I guess, maybe, but it's it's that. It's like, it used to be about, oh man, like, what were these players doing in their free time? Oh, they went and hung out together at at a Brazilian steakhouse. Oh, they were having an asador. Oh, they were, hanging out together at this club, Magic City. Like, those things that ingratiate these players to the fans, where it actually makes you want to follow the team even more. It's this cycle of, oh man, like, we want to know more about these players. Right now, a lot of the fans can't wait for some of these players to leave.
And just a personality, for Christ's sake. Like someone with a major personality. Atlanta is a city that needs players with major personalities. Jose Martinez thrived perfectly from that. Giakoumakis, for all of his faults, also did. We need players like that. We don't have enough of that. I just, I don't want guys who are like fearful to talk to the press, who don't want to go out and fire the team up in a press and like talk some smack even. Like, I want to hear that again. We just don't hear it.
Right. And I think that's why we see a little bit of stuff in Fortune a bit. It's maybe not to that degree, obviously, and he's got to build his career to be able to speak like that. I think that's part of it, is that you can't have bravado if you're not winning, if you're not creating records, breaking records, doing that type of thing. But yeah, I think it still is. The team lacks personality. The team lacks identity, and it's something that Tata's trying to fix. Like, we're trying to be that team that is the protagonist, but it's just too early for that. Like, we just do not, like we've said, have the technicians to be able to play like this. So you have to be more humble before you get to the play pragmatically. Play where you can actually score those goals against some of the bigger sides, maybe beat those bigger sides, and then you can start to build out from there. Beat the teams that you need to beat in order to actually look like, and we've been doing that to a degree before this match. There was some momentum.
Yep.
Unfortunately, like I said,
It's all out the window.
Yeah. But I think it's getting pretty late. It's a cool night. Final thoughts. Final thoughts, Drew.
Get ready for Columbus. throw this game in the garbage, regroup, get ready for Columbus.
So be a goldfish, pretend like it didn't happen. Because, I mean, a lot of the things we probably won't see again. Like, I'm not so sure that those players will be put in those positions again. So
Yeah. Certainly hope not.
yeah.
Jade, and one last thing. Jaden Hibbert, keep your friggin' head up. You played well tonight, except for that one goal. You stood on your head. You kept this team even close.
And the more that I think about it, like that flub he made, I mean, the team was rattled. Everyone was rattled. Like, they were shook. I get it. Like, you make mistakes more when that's happening. When things are falling apart, it's hard to... And then a younger player, I get it. I'm not going to hold that against him, even if that is, like, his one error.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's also that when you're a goalkeeper, you know, every error that you make is calamitous usually because you're closest to goal.
Yep.
So it is what it is. Like, if you're a striker, you misplace a pass, inconsequential usually. So it's going to be okay. But, you know, the only thing is, you got to put your shots into the back of the net if you're a striker. But yeah, and so it's like, you know, or conversely, if you're a winger, you can not complete a dribble, you'll be okay. You know, those type of things. But so yes, I agree. Well done on that, Drew. It's absolutely that Hibbert can hold his head up high. We owe a couple of wheel of forfeit expenditures. Obviously, this 4-day kind of turnaround of 2 games has been quite difficult, and originally the plan was to go to Mike's where his daughter would paint her faces, but again, not going to pay for purple paint that I'm going to use once, so
So we will do that. We still have the purple paint, so one of these away games we will do that for our stream, so that'll be happening. And then I also eventually, when I can talk a little bit better, and it's not like a weeknight game, I'll do the reverse roast for me as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll owe some. But any last comments from?
Actually, a couple rolled in. Danger Zone 24 says the fact that our scouting team thought ELL was worth that much says it all. Clean house there. None of the guys would tolerate this. Tristan is hit or miss. He's a non-factor some matches, and then shows a glimmer of greatness here and there. He also says Mike nailed it. 0 personality figures to speak of. And my cat apparently agrees.
Love it. All right. Well, I guess we will wrap it up then. And if you guys are hanging out at 12 a.m. on Wednesday morning, then yes, you are absolutely absolved of being called plastic, because absolutely that is not you. But yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's Drew. That's Mike. I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching.
Have a good night, everyone.